Yeah, I think the last 12 months has been just a 180-degree turn. If you roll back 12 months, you had so many smart people that had a lot of money and power saying, Bitcoin looks too good to be true. It's so good, someone's going to ban it. Right? We heard that. And I think a couple of weeks ago with the executive order, what we had was the President of the United States giving a green light to Bitcoin. You have a one-page memo and it says, whereas 40 million Americans, rely upon this and this is part of their future, I hereby direct every government agency to get educated on Bitcoin and figure out how you incorporate it into the government. And I think that if I scan the last 100 years of history and I ask, when's the last time the President of the United States directed the government to embrace a new asset class? The answer is never. So I think that Bitcoin should be taking a victory lap for what happened here just in the past few weeks in the United States government. Because a year ago, Bitcoin was, maybe it was Eastern technology and it wasn't Western technology, and maybe the government was going to ban it and we're afraid of it. I mean, the momentum is clearly behind Bitcoin. Yes. A lot of people have anxiety about regulation, and they ask me, aren't you afraid? And I do not have anxiety about regulation. When I look at this, I say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be worked through. FASB's working through some accounting issues. FDIC's working through some banking issues. SEC's working through some security issues. The administration's working through all their issues. But regardless of how fast that happens and how sharp that occurs, I don't think there's any outcome other than favorable for Bitcoin. And I think that what I say over and over again is Bitcoin is the ethical safe haven for any public figure, and it is the technical safe haven for any technical company. And it is the financial safe haven for any investors. So if you have anxiety, I think that people that are thinking about this are going to realize that Bitcoin is the risk-off crypto asset network. And all of this regulation is going to create volatility. But ultimately, the single number one most important issue is you walk into a room with people that have collectively 10 or 20 trillion dollars. I mean, that's a good segue to technology, because I think you're very enthusiastic about technology. I'm very enthusiastic about technology. And I think that technology is going to drive the adoption of Bitcoin more aggressively in the coming 36 months, even than it has in the last 36 months. I guess I'd like to take a moment to give a shout out to Cash App and to Kraken, because I think both of those companies have done an enormous service for the Bitcoin community by integrating Lightning into their platforms. And I think they've thrown down the gauntlet. If I put away my macroeconomic hat and just think as a technologist, if you're a technical entrepreneur, if you're a venture capitalist, and if you're trying to figure out what's the next great thing, I think it has to involve Lightning in somehow. And if I look at the industry, I think every crypto exchange, if they're going to remain viable and competitive, they need to build Lightning into their exchange. And so I hope the people that run exchanges that don't have Lightning are listening to my presentation. I didn't mention BitPay, but I got to say I was really excited this week when I read that BitPay is also supporting Lightning. And it made me think, we're in the year, right, 2022, where people are going to start to realize that not supporting Lightning is like not supporting the internet, right? If you don't support Bitcoin, you don't support sound economics or integrity. But if you don't support Lightning, it's just kind of like cutting yourself off from the internet. And it's so much so that you start to think that I don't want to do business with a company that doesn't get on board with Lightning. Like, I got to find another vendor. And I'll tell you another exciting thing about Lightning. I'm really excited about the speed and transaction velocity. I'm excited about the interoperability everywhere in the world. I'm also excited about what Lightning Labs announced this week with their Taro protocol, because if we can move USD stablecoins at the speed of light over the Lightning Network, then I think the killer application in the world is going to be when 6 billion people, maybe 8 billion people, when your 3-year-old's got it, when 8 billion people run around with a mobile phone, with an Android or iOS app, and they've got a Lightning wallet, and that wallet has got some BTC in it as a store of value, and it's got some USD or Euro or CNY or whatever as a medium of exchange. So let's talk about capital markets. I just think we've made enormous progress. 18 months ago, MicroStrategy bought $250 million of Bitcoin. People thought we were crazy. You know, and everybody said, "Well, you bought it. You're not gonna buy any more. And when are you going to sell it?" You know, and then it promptly traded down, and we were down $50 million, and people were dancing on my grave, gleefully speculating about when the board of directors were going to fire me. And then we finished a Dutch auction, and we bought 175 million more, and I thought, well, I got it 20% cheaper. Why wouldn't I? And then people thought, well, you're going to stop. And then we didn't stop. And then Square, now Block, bought Bitcoin. And then Tesla bought Bitcoin. And we bought more Bitcoin. We're up to 6 billion Bitcoin. By the way, if you want to turn 250 million into 6 billion, buy Bitcoin. Don't buy gold. If I bought gold, I would have had $250 million worth of gold instead of $6 billion worth of Bitcoin. So when I say it's a lever and it's a ladder, I mean, yes, it's a ladder. So now at the end of, right about now, we've got 24 publicly traded miners. We got another dozen public companies. So we got to wrap it up here. We got to wrap it up here, but I leave you with two thoughts. One, whenever I meet with very powerful people, politicians, senators, Congress persons, governors, or whenever I meet with billionaires or CEOs, normally what they say to me is, my daughter or my son said you're a rock star and I have to meet you. Okay? And they're like, yeah. I had a guy come to my house. I met his son, and the next day, the son brought his father, and his father could, like, buy the entire city of Miami.